Hi, Eric.
How's it going, Amy?
Good. It's great. It's a great Monday. I'm excited to be here today. Everyone, I'm the EVP of Marketing here at Abstrakt, and I'm joined by Eric Watkins, our president of Outbound. In this series, we are looking at some of the major players in the lead gen space, and today we're talking about Callbox. A couple of fast facts. They've been in business over 20 years, which is incredible. They talk a lot about combining people and technology, that AI plus human approach to help companies grow their pipeline, and then they're really focused on global outreach. They worked with thousands of businesses, and they make a big point that 4 of the 5 largest companies in the world trust them with their outsourced sales development. So Eric, having run sales, run pipeline, how have we run up against Callbox, and what's your understanding of them in the space?
Funny story, Callbox is actually the first competitor that I ever heard of here at Abstrakt. So they've been in the space for a really long time, just like us. Respect the hell out of them for that. They're very big in the enterprise space. They work with some really large clients. They do a lot of big calling projects. They also work globally in a lot of different countries, so I think they have a big reach there. A little bit software focused as well, from what I've seen and heard over the years, but really big player and big competitor of ours.
One of the things that I love the most about Callbox, I was looking at their website, and we just went through a massive upgrade and redo of our own website, and just thinking about that user experience, and if someone's looking for a growth partner, I love their CTAs that pop up all over their site, and they're just super interesting. One of them says your next 50 sales conversations could start this month. I just think that they do a really good job of following you across their website, but not being book a meeting. Like they're framing it in a more unique way. So what do you think about user experience when you're looking for a growth partner? What would you like a website to look like?
I want as much information as I possibly can right away at my fingertips. I do a lot of demos. I talk with a lot of companies evaluating different products. And one of the things that frustrates me the most is I have to wait for the call to get access to a lot of information and then find out that I'm not interested or that it's not going to be a fit. So I think it's crucial to have that information right up front in the beginning. And I think they do a really good job when I look at their website.
Transparency on pricing. I thought this was super interesting on their website too. A lot of consumers and prospects love the pay-per-lead model. Or maybe they've been burned in the past, and so they're not as excited about a retainer model. And Callbox just does a really good job calling attention on their website to we do not do pay per lead, and being transparent about that. What do you think the pros and cons are of that?
I appreciate the transparency. I think they're similar to us. When you've been doing this for so many years, you probably did that at one point and you saw all the cons of doing a pay per lead model. So they're just tired of having those conversations and they put it right up front on their website. I will say I've been in some sales conversations where it started that way. And then once they saw the value in what we did, they were able to change their tune on that. But I can appreciate being transparent. I think it's important to be as transparent as possible on your website, because you're just going to have a better experience when you ultimately get them on the call. I know we show our pricing on our website. I know they don't necessarily. But I also know they're potentially doing bigger projects, but we do those projects as well. And I think it's okay to have, these are our standard packages. And then if you want something a little out of scope, we can create a custom quote for you.
Service scope and reach. Speaking about that, they emphasize this global outreach. They talk about helping companies expand into North America, Asia, Europe, Latin America, and they really position themselves as the global partner for both startups and enterprise companies. What do you think about global versus regional outreach and specialization when it comes to comparing outbound partners?
We have to hire people that maybe don't speak the same language as you. There's different regulations, there's different policies. I think it's really hard to be good at both. So more power to them if they're able to do that on their end. I do think, however, local is its own beast. I think it's important to know the Arch is right down the street. I think it's important to know the courthouse is a block away when you're calling on behalf of these clients. And yes, you can research and do things to come across as if you're local, but you really need the experience. If you've been calling in San Francisco for 20 years, you're going to know a lot of the things that you need to talk about when you're calling on behalf of San Francisco. And I feel like that's hard to replace. So a little skeptical on being able to do both well, but obviously global comes with a lot of challenges, and part of the reason why we've only done it in a few instances versus for all the partners that are interested in our services.
Yeah, they seem very focused on the global first, so it looks like they've really taken a lane and specializing in that. So that's awesome. Client results. This is an interesting one. So Callbox cites metrics like helping clients see 120% uplift in new business revenue and over 50 million in annual revenue increases. At Abstrakt, we talk a little bit more about expectations in the first year, that outbound is a process. We want you to at least break even in the first year, and you could see ROI in the first year, but we're talking about year 2 and beyond. And then we tout about a 96% retention rate with our clients. What do you think the pros and cons are of using those different types of metrics as results, and what would you be looking for in a growth and lead gen partner?
Yeah, you always want to use the best stories you have in the sales process. And so when I see $50 million in business close, I also caution that I don't want every client thinking they're going to come on and see 50 million in business close. And I also don't want them thinking they're going to need 50 million in business close for this to be a good investment. I think we like to talk about break even, sort of worst case scenario, because then they know it makes sense and they can do this for the long haul. But also every client is different. Every client has a different average deal size. Every client has different margins. Every client has a different close rate. And so it's really hard to bucket and say, on average, we increase customers' revenue by 120%. I just feel like that's really hard to be able to justify. Maybe they average them all out to come to that. But yeah, I think ultimately, when it comes to results, it takes two to tango. So here's the process. Here's what we're going to run. Here's how it's worked for others just like you. Here's what you're going to need to do in order for it to be successful. And here are a couple clients you can talk to that have seen some results.
Well, Eric, thank you for today. I think it's super clear as we're doing this that there are a lot of strong players in the lead gen space. It's fun talking about all of them, and they each have a little bit of different flavor with their own model. The most important thing, though, that we believe is, as a business, you need to choose some sort of outbound partner, because without outbound, you're leaving revenue on the table. Anything else to add?
Use us, use somebody else, do it yourself, just do it. Outbound or Nike, just do it.